the local pension board. The first item on the agenda is to elect a chair for the 24-25 municipal year. Can I have nominations, please?
I'd like to nominate Councillor Doyle.
Okay, can I have a seconder, please?
I'm happy to second that.
Okay, there we are. All in favour? Thank you very much. So Councillor Doyle is elected. Thank you.
I was going to ask then, can I vote against myself? But thank you very much for the confidence expressed. Have we got any apologies for absence?
Sorry, second item is the election of vice chair.
Have we got any nominations for vice chair then? Does that also have to be an elected member?
Historical protocol would indicate, Chairman, that it comes from the member representation of the membership. So that's Ian or Rob in this instance, and very, very helpfully they're both in attendance, or Rosemary, should she have been here.
Would either of you like to be the vice chair?
I'd be happy to do it unless Rob fancies the position.
Well, as this is only my second meeting I've attended, I think I'm not quite into the swing of it yet. So I'm happy to on this occasion to defer to you if you wish it.
Okay, thank you, Rob.
Okay, I think that means Ian is the vice chair for the next municipal year. So is the sorry, second item on the agenda would be the.
Do we need to propose and do a vote on it? Propose and second.
Yes, you can do. If you can, yeah. If everybody's happy with Ian Guy being vice chair.
Yeah.
All in favour then? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Is the next item on the agenda the apologies for absence?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Apology from Rosemary Broad.
Okay. I'm just going to try and find the agenda on my paper here. So, Gareth, can you just, sorry, Jeremy, can you just do the first bit of the agenda and then I'll catch up when I've got it up.
Yeah, next item, Chair, is disclosures of interest.
Yeah, okay. Does anybody have any disclosures of interest they wish to make today?
Yes, I've got a personal interest in the whole agenda because I'm a member of the Swansea Pension Fund.
Okay. Does that mean that I also have a similar interest, Jeremy?
Yes, Chair, you do. Yeah.
Okay. I'll fill in the form later on.
Okay, I've got an interest as well as a member of the pension fund.
Any of the other officers present got similar interests?
Same, Chairman.
And I'm a member of the pension fund also.
Okay, thank you.
I suppose I got to say that as well.
Sorry, who was that then? Rob, is that?
Yeah, I'm a member. I'm an officer of the authority, so and a member of Unison. I don't know whether that's a declaration of interest. I don't know.
Okay, we'll all have to fill the relevant forms, and I think Jeremy circulated those before the start of the meeting. What was the next item on the agenda, Jeremy?
Next item is the minutes from April and the encoded meeting from July, Chair.
Okay, have you all seen the meetings from April, minutes from April and July? Do you have any issues, first of all, with the accuracy of the minutes? No? Are we all happy to accept them as a true record? Yeah. Are there any matters arising from the minutes? No? Do the officers have any matters arising they wish to bring to the meeting's attention?
No matters arising, Chairman.
Okay. What's the next item, Jeremy?
Next item is report of Audit Wales Swansea Pension Fund Audit Plan 2024, Chair.
Was that Jeff?
Yes, I'm taking this, Chairman. It's an annual report, Chairman, whereby our external regulators, who in this instance are Audit Wales, present their proposed audit plan, and in it they outline their programme of work in respect of their external audit of our financial statements in respect of the City and County of Swansea Pension Fund year ending 31st of March 2024. And in the report, they outline their modus operandi for the forthcoming audit. As we speak, it's ongoing. Karen and her colleagues on the administration section have had a number of meetings with external auditors as they undertake their testing. And this report, this audit plan, outlines the sort of areas that they're going to look at and investigate and undertake testing on. On page 17 of the pack, indicates the key dates for delivery of the planned output. So obviously they're in the middle of the audit work at the moment, and hopefully they'll be reporting to committee and yourselves in November. Later on the agenda, Chairman and board members, is the actual substantive financial statements and annual report itself for your consideration. Obviously, this was held over from the previous board meeting, which was unsuccessfully held last quarter, and that is what the audit plan is in relation to. As you can see on page 18, outlines the audit fee. They've had to raise the fee slightly in respect of the increased scope of work, and thankfully it's not in line with inflation, and they were keen to bring that to our attention of the value that the Audit Wales are bringing to the work. That's about it, really, Chairman and Board. It's quite a short, succinct report, and you're well used to receiving its output now, and hopefully the desired objective is for us to receive a clean audit report with no qualifications in November time. Happy to take any questions you may have.
Okay. Sorry, does anybody have any questions? Ian? No. Doesn't seem we've got any questions at this point. Thank you, Jeff. I'll be happy to move on to the next item on the agenda. Yeah, which is the draft pension fund annual report and statement of accounts.
Thank you, Chairman. It's me again, I'm afraid. And as I say, this is largely a substantive item on the agenda. It's the major set piece State of the Nation report in respect of the pension fund that we're required by law to produce on an annual basis. Again, members of the board are used to seeing this every year. The content and format of it remains largely unchanged. Hopefully, you'll notice a difference in the numbers. The numbers are going in the right direction, so that's always a good start in respect of presenting financial statements. I'm going to reference, because obviously there are numbers in respect of the report itself, but also numbers in respect of the pack that's been shared with you by Democratic Services. So if I could turn your attention to page 3 of the report and page 28 of your pack, These are 3-year profile statistics of the fund. We always introduce the report with these headline statistics, and as you can see, for the first time ever, the net asset value of the fund has crept over. Well, I say crept. It's leapt over the £3 billion mark. The asset valuation now stands at £3.3 billion. We've had an excellent year in respect of investment returns. Increase in value of over £400 million, equating to a net return of about 12.9% in year. This is against the local government average return in the year of 9.1%, showing a healthy outperformance of the average fund. So over 3 years, that's 7.5%, the average being 5.3%. And over 5 years, the return has been 9.4% against an average of 6.5%. So well above the average and the median in both the short term and medium term. And as I think I previously indicated, over the 3-year period ending 31st of March 2024, Swansea was the top performing fund in the local government universe. So very strong and healthy returns experienced in the year again. And against this backdrop of healthy returns, strong funding, just want to remind the board about the ongoing de-risking program that we have in place, i.e. reducing our growth assets, reducing some of our more risky assets, and reallocating those investments into more income-based investments, more protection-based investments, just to lock in and bank some of those gains experienced. You can see the membership profile again at the bottom of the page, and you can see very modest growth there in the number of active contributors, an increase of about 4, and then you can see then the natural progression in numbers of pensioners and deferreds as the workforce matures, and obviously the public sector just in general contracts in that regard. On page, just so you know, I'm not intending to go through this whole 300-page document in its entirety. And again, whilst I remember, I need to give credit to my colleagues, Karen and her team, and Claire and her team, for the compilation of this 300-page document. There has been additional guidance and changes within the document where additional information has been required as a result of that guidance, and I'll try and draw your attention to where that is as appropriate. But again, I want to commend Karen and Claire for their respective input for producing this both on time and hopefully post audit to satisfactory quality that we're used to. On page 20 of the report and page 45 of your packs starts the admin, the legislative changes, sorry, and the admin side of the business, and how that has panned out during the year. Obviously, pensions management, it's a very legislation heavy area of the business, and from page 45 onwards, we can see the legislation enacted during the year. Prior to that, on the preceding pages, is largely a summary of our dealings with our members. In the admin report on page 29 of your pack, outlining numbers of ill health retirement cases that each employer has experienced, number of early access cases that each employer has experienced, and also the results of some customer engagement and satisfaction surveys that we've undertaken in respect of their experience in dealing with the fund. Obviously, we want all our customers to walk away happy, but in any customer-based service, you're not going to please all the people all the time. But you can see those metrics identified on page 38 give a favourable picture of members' experience in dealing with the fund. And on page 39, if members are unhappy with how we've dealt with them or how we've undertaken to resolve their issues, there is their right to escalate their complaint via the internal dispute resolution process, and then ultimately take that complaint to the Pensions Ombudsman. And on page 39 outlines some of the cases during the year and whether they're upheld or not. Obviously, as we approach triennial evaluation year in 2025, obviously every 3 years we're required to undertake a triennial evaluation to assess the relationship between the assets and the liabilities. Key to this is the accuracy of the data that we hold in respect of both our membership and their service records. So on page 41 of your packs, you can see the data quality work that we've done during the year and summarizing that. And as you can see there, the data scores that we've got heading into valuation year with still a lot of time to go yet to remedy the issues is very encouraging. And the actuary has actually commented on the quality of the data at this stage of proceedings. So that's the admin side of the report. And then if we move on to then page 28 of the report, but 53 of your packs, we have a summary of our dealings with WPP, and that's the Wales Pension Partnership. As you're aware, Swansea is a member of 8 Welsh pension funds who together and in a collaborative agreement have determined to harvest the economies of scale and aim to reduce costs and achieve improved outcomes in investments by pooling assets where we can and driving down costs and improving investment outcomes. So on page 28 onwards is a summary of our business dealings with the pool and some of the ongoing work and developments in respect of communication, responsible investment policies, and training, importantly training, which they deliver on the collective behalf of the 8 funds. On page 71 of your pack and page 46 of the report is the annual governance statement. Obviously, the pension fund is administered by Swansea Council, so we very much leverage on the governance arrangements of the council. For example, we have our legal colleagues sitting across from us today. We heavily leverage the legal framework and the legal comfort blanket that Swansea Council provides to the fund in that arrangement. And similarly, the finance function, the audit function, the ICT function, etc. If you are accessing these documents electronically, you will see that the AGS is still highlighted in yellow. It is still a draft. This statement, it forms part of the financial statements of the council as a whole, and subject to it being approved at full council as part of that document, it's still in draft as respect of the pension fund as well. So that's why it's still highlighted in yellow. On page 118 of your pack, and page 92, page 118 and page 93 starts the main elements of the statement of accounts, whereby we've got the fund account there on page 118, and then the net asset statement on page 119. As you can see there, the fund account there, that represents you can think of that as the fund's P&L, income and expenditure account, and then on the right hand side there on page 119 there, the net asset statement, you can think of that as the pension fund's balance sheet there. And as you can see, the net assets of the fund is grown to, as I said previously, to 3.3 billion. The first time at balance sheet date that we've managed to get over that £3 million mark. On page 118, you can see there at the top contributions, both from members themselves, but also their employers. That represents the income into the fund. But then you can see down below there the liabilities that were required to make, i.e. the pensions payable on a monthly basis, but also the lump sums that were required to make when a member retires. You can see there one is greater than the other. Income is still outstripping expenditure by about 10, just under £10 million. So, we're still cash positive in dealing with the members. We still don't have to realise investments to pay members. So that ensures that we can still take reasonable investment risk and take a reasonably medium to long term investment time horizon. Obviously, that position changes as more and more people retire and the fund matures and we have less people joining the fund. But as we speak, unlike lots of other LGPS funds, we are still cash positive. And then, Chairman, there's still a whole heft of information in respect of those numbers, whereby as we're required under our professional body, we're required to slice and dice those numbers and break them down into more detail and provide the reader of the accounts with additional information. I'm not planning to go through the rest of the report with any great detail, apart from draw your attention perhaps to page 127, whereby we outline the whole range of employers, both scheduled and admitted, that we have in the scheme at the moment. And you can see it's quite a broad range of employers that we have within the scheme on that page. And as you'll see later on in the report pack, Chairman and board members, there's another report for your consideration in respect of an employer being admitted to the scheme again. Some of the additional information that I referenced in my introduction about that we're required to include now is outlined on Appendix 6, some additional performance data that we're required to include now in respect of our dealings with members. So you can see there, I know it does test your eyesight there, but these are performance reports that we've worked with our software developer Haywards in developing these PIs that we can derive from the system, and they're included here for your information as well. I'll stop there if that's okay with you, Chairman, and allow you to ask questions.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Sorry, do either of my colleagues have any questions?
A couple of questions, but if I could first start off by saying what an excellent piece of work this is, and reflecting excellent work that's gone on in the fund, as indicated by the figures that Jeff mentioned. But as usual, if you could take back to those involved our appreciation of it. Jeff, I don't know if my page numbers are going to match up to yours, but I've got page 41 of 526. It's the reference to the Ombudsman. And there seems to be substantial delay in dealing with that complaint to the Ombudsman. I'm assuming that delay is wholly at the door of the ombudsman rather than Swansea. If I'm correct in that, first of all, I wonder if it's just worth making that clear in the draft report.
Thank you, Ian, and you're quite right. I'm careful about what I say because obviously this is being recorded and it's a public part of the meeting. But because some of those cases, as you say, are still ongoing and subject to ombudsman adjudication. The delay has been incredible. I mean, they expect you to turn your response around to them within 28 days. So some of these issues have been with them for well over a year. I mean, some of them run to numbers of years. So with no explanation of the whys and wherefores, however, we get periodic correspondence indicating they haven't forgotten about it. Please bear with. I can only assume it's a resourcing issue at the ombudsman, and just reflects the sheer complexity of the scheme because ostensibly, as you all well know, it's not one scheme as such. It's almost a hybrid of about 4 schemes bolted together as a result of subsequent legislation and remedies that, for example, whenever a judicial review occurs and there's a subsequent remedy, there are always unintended consequences of implementing that remedy, and that kicks off a whole load of more complaints and issues. And so you're right to point that out, Ian. But I can reassure you, it's not as a result of inactivity from Swansea, both my legal colleagues who are responsible for formulating our response and leading on our response back to the ombudsman, and our admin manager for collating the information required to go into that response is always within the timescales indicated by the PO. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems to me whether that complaint is justified or not, the member as well is entitled to that determination in a timely manner. I'm just wondering, Jeff, if diplomatically you could say something like Swansea have met all the timescales, rather than sort of pointing the finger more overtly at the ombudsman, just to make it clear to the reader that the fund is not in any way to blame. And thank you. That's as I expected. That's what I expected you to say.
That's a really sensible and useful suggestion, actually, Ian. Yeah, we'll include that.
Thanks. And then the reference to strain payments led me to wonder more generally as to the mechanics of it. We still haven't received our pay award for April 24. What happens practically where an employer goes on early retirement, for example? Presumably the strain payment is calculated and paid, but then the pay award is announced. Does the fund go back to the employer and seek a top up, redoing all the calculations, or what happens there practically?
If it's retrospective in that respect, yes, it is recovered. Obviously, the starting position is the member does not lose out, because obviously their pay would be based on a lower than correct pay, but the quid pro quo then is also that the fund expects from the employer the appropriate recompense for that additional benefit, because it represents a larger benefit then. So there is a lot of housekeeping to do when these pay awards do drag on, because it has dragged on, the implementation of this one. just from a practical point of view, people are guessing at the moment about what the next pay award is going to be, and it does cause a lot of knock-on effects.
Thank you, Jeff. Again, that's as I would expect. And then just a formatting point, as you were going through the stats just now, I noticed at page 28, I think it is, the numbers of contributors and pensioners at the bottom, they're still under the columns headed thousands. So it makes us look like we've got millions of which would be nice.
Yes,
but I don't think is right.
Yeah. What would the appropriate unit be for a member?
Steady now.
Yes, I don't know what symbol we could put above there to reference. Perhaps a smiley face or something like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Duly noted, Ian, and point well made.
Have you finished your questions?
That's all from me. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Jeff, can you just clarify what happens to this report now? Does it go to the council or does it sit?
Obviously, at the moment, Chairman, it is subject to external audit. It's gone to, prior to coming to board yourselves, it went to Pension Fund Committee, who approved it in draft form, subject to audit. The Pension Fund Committee is a fully delegated Section 101 committee of the Council with full delegated responsibility in the Constitution for full responsibility of all the work of the pension fund. So the Pension Fund Committee itself is a function of council. So council have delegated that function to the committee, and so the committee have the appropriate authority to approve the subsequent audit report and final accounts when they're signed off.
Okay.
And then we're required post audit, then, Chair, to lodge a copy of the annual report then with the Ministry of Housing and Local Government and the Scheme Advisory Board upon publication.
Okay. So do we have to approve this now then at this point, or?
Your function as the board is to provide oversight and scrutiny. You do not have to approve this report. This report is brought to you for information and for noting, and to raise any questions that you may have, or if you do have any grave concerns, you may want to write formally to the chair of the Pension Committee, raising your concerns. However, if you're satisfied with the answers I've provided to you, the report is just for noting.
Okay, fine. And I thank you and the officers for the work that goes into these reports, because they're obviously quite comprehensive and hugely time consuming to compile, etc. So if you could pass on the thanks of the committee to the relevant officers, that would be gratefully appreciated. Are we now happy to move on to item 8, which is the admission body agreement amendment? I assume this is you again, Jeff.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, it is, I'm afraid. You may recall a while ago, and from time to time, you'll see admission body agreement reports coming before you, and this one is in quick succession following a previous admission body report in respect of the same employer. Just to remind you, schools are wholly autonomous bodies in their operation. They determine the services that they discharge and how they engage and contract for those services. In respect to cleaning services, historically, the schools in Swansea have used Swansea Council's in-house cleaning service. However, a number of schools are determined now to outsource that cleaning service to local contractors, and in this case, it's an employer called Mrs. Bucket or Mrs. Bouquet, for those of you more socially upwardly mobile minded. Yes, so. I don't know if this is a trend, but this is the second admission agreement in respect of Mrs. Bucket. The Dylan Thomas School has determined to outsource its cleaning services, and I'm going to correct me if I'm wrong. I think in this instance, it's only in respect of one employee, I think. So it's to safeguard that one employee's access to pension rights, in that we now that this one employee isn't working for the council anymore, they're going to be working for Mrs. Bucket. We want to ensure that that employee still maintains their local government pension scheme rights. And to do that, we have to admit Mrs. Bucket into the scheme as an admitted body employer. The quid pro quo is then that Mrs. Bucket needs to remit employer pension contributions on time to us in respect of that one employee, and comply with all the other requirements that are incumbent on an employer within the scheme. So this report went to committee, which was approved, admitting them again in respect of this one employee and in respect of Dylan Thomas Community School. Perhaps you leave it there, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, any observations? No. Okay, item 9 is the control assurance reports. Over to you again, Jeff.
Thank you, Chairman. Sorry, I just noticed, Chairman, it's in respect of 10 employees. It's in respect of 10 employees.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, this controls assurance report is again a requirement on us as a result of a recommendation made by external audit a number of years ago. So some of you may actually sit on audit committee, and some of you may be well versed in the workings of an audit committee. In a large organisation like this, we have an internal audit section, and they're responsible for ensuring that all the systems of internal control, refinance, valuable items of inventory, repay, all systems which can fall foul of human intervention, are subject to internal audit. Similarly, we contract with third-party organisations, mainly investment fund managers who are responsible for managing those assets that I referred to earlier, and they work under very tightly regulated regimes, as you can imagine, when dealing with large sums of money, and they are subject to internal audit and systems of control review. And noting the wide range of assets we invest in, they're subject to different regulatory regimes, and that's hopefully evident by the different format of reports that are before you there. Largely in this day and age, majority of transactions and systems that are in place that are looking after the assets are electronic and technological in nature. And as you can see from some of the output from these reports, they are mainly around the control environment, around those systems, around those ICT systems. about how they control new users to the scheme, how they control the output of reports from the scheme. We review those internal control reports for any issues of concern to us, and want to highlight to you any exceptional items which their auditors have brought to their attention and their subsequent management remedial action that they've undertaken since that. There are no items which remain unresolved or have cause for concern. And also to give board members an additional layer of comfort, we also retain the services of a custodian and a depository who are responsible for the safeguarding of the assets. Although all these fund managers are responsible for the management of those assets are deposited and held secure in, again, a separate fourth party, shall we call them, depository overseen by custodian, overseen by a depository. So are these multi-layered facets of control and oversight in respect of these assets. So although these reports are in respect of the systems of control, in respect of the fund managers and the asset managers looking after your money, the actual assets themselves are held separately by the custodian and overseen by the depository, as required by regulation and the ACS umbrella under which we all operate now. In the pack of controls assurance reports, you can see a controls assurance report in respect of BlackRock in its entirety and Russell Investments in its entirety, because between them, they're responsible for managing over 70% of the fund's assets. And then subsequent to those two reports, my colleague Ben Johnson has reviewed and extracted the exceptional items to bring to your attention in the third appendix therein. So as I say, no items are of concern. We're satisfied with the remedial action undertaken by management subsequent to these being brought to their attention. Happy to take questions, Chairman.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. Any questions, colleagues? Ian?
Just one suggestion. I found them very dense reports, Jeff, to wade through, and the text size was testing my eyes. I'm wondering if it's possible for us to ask for there to be an executive summary or brief introduction to these reports in future, in the same way as audit reports give you a bit of an overall health check, whether there's anything of concern, and whether that would be useful.
I will pass that on, Ian. I think to my reading of it, there is a it's for example on the report on Russell Investments, there is their independent service auditors summary report at the beginning of it, at page 3 and 6, whereby they've attempted to provide that overall executive summary. It's the nature, I suppose, as I say, the exceptional items that they're reporting on, that they are quite granular in nature.
Yes.
It's hard to summarize those in any way which is meaningful and
without losing anything. Yeah.
Because they have attempted to do that in the preamble in 1, 2, 3 of the report, and then because they only go into the actual detailed exceptions later on. So I'll
Maybe it's
attempt
been,
to
yeah.
answer.
I think it's just been lost in all the dense print there.
I mean, they are very, very, very dry reports, and I can say this having previously been an auditor, but I think it just speaks of audit as a discipline, as a mindset that it is detail orientated, isn't it?
I mean, if it's already in there, in what I, as a layman, would call a summary, maybe it just needs a nice little heading and a box around it.
We'll endeavour to do that in and signpost readers to where they can access a summary. What we've done, those subsequent to the other reports, we wanted to include those in its entirety because, as I say, that covers 70% of the portfolio. What we've attempted to do with the remainder of the portfolio, instead of just copy and pasting and dumping you with another 20 odd full reports like that, we've attempted to have some semblance of executive summary, and that we've only drawn your attention to reportable items in that respect. So hopefully they're a bit more manageable for you and digestible. But yeah, point well made, Ian.
Any other questions on item 9? No. Okay, thank you, Jeff. Now we're on to item 10, which is the breaches report. Over to you again, Jeff.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, if we take this as the latest report of our breaches, and I'll take it in that vein. This could be the shortest report on record. Nothing to report, Chairman. No breaches to report. You'll be pleased to know. I think it's for the first time ever on record. So yeah, no breaches to report this quarter.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Jeff. That's a relief, I'm sure. We're now at point 11 on the agenda, which is the excuse me, exclusion of the public. How does that work in practice? Because there are no members of the public. We just stop recording at this point, is it?
Yes, Chairman. Yes, just agree to go into closed session, and I stop recording.
Okay.
I think you have, Chairman. I think you have to take a vote of your fellow board members that they're in agreement that we go into closed session.
Yes. We're all in agreement that we go into private session. So, okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. That's been agreed. So, Jamie.